You're listening to H&D Talks with Houston and Dylan. Let's get into the trends of the past, the future, and what's here and weird.
Welcome to the first episode of H&D Talks, where we're going to detox some of these viral news stories from past, present, and future. Hello, everyone. It's Houston here, and...
Hello, everyone. It's Dylan with you.
Yes, I guess we should start off by introducing ourselves. My name is Houston, born and raised in Las Cruces. I am on Magic 104.9 and Zia Country, our local radio stations.
And I am Dylan, also born and raised here in Las Cruces. I am on Magic 104.9, 101 Gold, and our dimming station 94.3 The Mix on the weekdays.
So we talk about these items on air a lot, and I feel like we don't get to deep dive into all of the details that go with them. So this is our opportunity to kind of go through and talk about them with you guys.
Let's go to the past.
We're talking about the World Video Game Hall of Fame, and it was announced for the class of 2025. Now, the top contenders were Defender, Quake, GoldenEye 007, and Tamagotchi. So the only one I'm actually familiar with is Tamagotchi. How about yourself, Dylan?
Same. I was reading through that. I have never heard of any of those before.
I feel like during this era, I was definitely playing Crash Bandicoot and a bunch of different racing games, but I am very familiar with the Tamagotchi. I remember that was a huge toy growing up. I had to have one. It is a pet toy, a digital pet, and it was introduced in 1996. Yes, it is almost 30 years old. How crazy is that?
That's insane, and the fact that everyone still knows what that is today shows that it definitely deserved its spot in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I definitely realized digital pet was a little bit safer back in the day when you didn't have to take care of an actual pet. And I mean, it was really in-depth. You would have to clean the pet, you would have to feed the pet, and of course water the pet, walk the pet. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm showing my young age. I never had one.
Dang. Well, yeah, I'm a little bit older. We definitely had them on our pant loops, you know, holding them as a keychain throughout our elementary school to middle school life in that era. And it was cool to have it on your, like, pants as a kid. So you definitely were part of the cool kid crowd if you had a Tamagotchi hanging on you. And speaking of the World Video Game Hall of Fame, some of the items that didn't make it was Age of Empires, Angry Birds, and Call of Duty for Modern Warfare. Also Frogger, Golden Tee, Harvest Moon, Mattel Football, and NBA 2K. So I am very familiar with Mattel Football and, of course, Angry Birds. That was the most addicting app, I feel like, growing up.
I lived off playing Angry Birds and Call of Duty, which I started playing probably too young.
It was very graphic for the video games coming out at that time. It was on the restricted list, but you know what? We still ended up playing it behind parents' backs. I was definitely one of those kids.
Oops, sorry, Mom.
Oh yeah, sorry parents. You're totally hearing this right now.
What is here and weird?
An Amazon driver was caught going to the restroom on two people's property in one morning. Yes, it was on Mother's Day. Now, Amazon does know who the individual was, and she did end up getting fired. But let's dive into this.
On Mother's Day?
On Mother's Day, yes.
I would not like to be, for all the mothers out there who owned these properties, walking outside on Mother's Day and seeing that, probably not great.
Ooh, and it gets worse. It gets worse. Now, she appears to be doing number one and number two. Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
The homeowners say that they found dirty paper towels on their property. But that's not all.
That's not all? What do you mean that's not all?
What about the number one and the number two? You have to see the evidence. Of course, it was all caught on video. Nowadays, in the present, we do have Ring cameras, like security cameras, over everyone's front porch. So,
yeah. And you said they caught her, right?
Yeah, they definitely caught her in the act. She did take a proof delivery photo. I mean, the deliveries were made, though.
At least the deliveries were made.
Sorry, I'm laughing about this a little bit too much, but it is funny. Like, if you're on the road, you're an Amazon delivery driver, it's hard to find restrooms. I know they don't have public restrooms at a lot of gas stations or Walmarts or anything anymore, but you can find a place. You can find a place.
This just in. Restrooms installed in the back of Amazon trucks.
Oh, like those travel buses?
Yeah.
Yes! So if you're an Amazon delivery driver, please invest in a restroom for your vehicle. They have compost toilets for those individuals who like to live out of vans. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, we're living in the present, guys, so definitely something to look into. But I feel bad for the girl. I mean, she is going viral for this, so I hope she's doing okay. I understand, you're a human being. Everyone's got to do it, but maybe not the best place to do it, especially when you're caught on film.
Yeah, not in 2025. Everyone has cameras.
Going to the future.
A skydiver dropped an iPhone from 14,000 feet, and he ended up finding it perfectly intact. Now, this whole entire event was caught on a GoPro camera, and it was an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
You know, you've heard about iPhones and how, like, I don't know if you remember when the iPhone 6 came out and you could, like, bend it in half. Do you remember that?
No, I live in like the Nokia era where like the only phone you bent in half was a flip phone. And then they started coming out with like the newer technology such as the chocolates or the glides, and you had a full keyboard, but I've never seen an iPhone bend in half.
There were iPhones at one point that were so weak that you could bend them in half. And ever since that, iPhones, it's a hit or miss. You can throw it across the room and it's fine. But you drop it like out of your pocket and, you're getting a new phone.
Yeah, which I totally understand. Durable phones last forever, and they want consumers to buy more phones. So I totally understand it from a business perspective. I do. But I don't understand how 14,000 feet will not destroy a phone. But when you drop it off a coffee table less than 2 feet, it's completely destroyed. Like, what is the science behind this?
I just want to know, like, how not destroyed are we talking? Was the screen, like, completely uncracked, or was the screen a little cracked, but the phone still works? I'm just curious, how destroyed was it not?
Well, he caught it on a GoPro, and it was completely fine. Screen intact, everything intact. It's still called, all of that. He's lucky he didn't drop it in a body of water.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like iPhone 13s are water resistant, so.
That's very true. It's very true. Our phones... What? I don't even know. Is my phone water resistant? Probably, huh?
I don't know. What phone do you have?
15 Pro?
15 Pro? Oh my gosh, you're like 3 generations of iPhones ahead of me. I barely have the 12, and I have the 12 mini. You know how hard it is to find a phone case for a 12 mini?
I wish they were still tiny. My hands are too tiny to hold my own phone.
Yeah, they change a lot. I do hold on to my old phones, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what kind of technology they come out with for iPhones. I heard the camera's always improving.
Yeah.
So that's a bonus. We do like to take a lot of pictures, especially working at the radio station. You get a lot of pictures taken of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want the best camera possible. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, I was born in the BlackBerry, Nokia, the Razr. Oh, that was like the first phone that you had like the front-facing camera on, so selfies were born.
Ooh.
Yeah. Duck faces.
Oh
that
my
was a
gosh.
thing. We're diving a little bit into the past, but I just have to say it because, technology's changed. We're back to like the bricks, but it's not necessarily a brick. It's like a thin tile.
Yeah.
And we have 2 different generations on this show. I am technically a millennial. So that's as close as I'm getting to my age.
Are you really a millennial?
Yes, I am.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I'm part of the cool kids crowd. You hear about us a lot, especially in entertainment news and all of that. What happened in 2000s? We had a lot of pop.
You had good music, yeah.
Yeah, there was some really good music. I feel like we have some good music. It's a hit and miss nowadays, but I remember in like the 80s, 90s. I mean, technically from 2000s, early 2000s and all the way back was like the music making generations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, of course we still have really good music today, but it's like those iconic songs that everyone knows. The iconic pop generation with like Kesha, Lady Gaga, all of those.
Yeah.
2010s.
And you didn't even get to experience like Fergalicious coming out for the first time. When you heard Fergalicious for the first time growing up, you just had to dance. You had to dance. It was just no questions about it.
I think the first time I heard it was probably on Magic.
Probably for me too, because back then, guys, they didn't have Spotify, Pandora, any of that. You couldn't just like go grab your music. I remember the iPod Nanos took about 3 hours to download your playlist of 10 songs.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I still have my iPod Nano.
I had an iPod Touch and I still have it to this day.
Wow.
It still works. Not well, but it still works.
Didn't the iPod Touch look like an iPhone, but like thicker?
I don't know if it was thicker because I had never held an iPhone at that point. It was kind of tiny, at least in comparison to our phones now. And it did pretty much everything except for call and text.
Wow. Wow. Well, there you guys have it. That was H&D Talks. This has been Houston with you.
And Dylan.
And we hope you join us next week because we're going to be talking about more of these viral news stories for the past, present, and future. That's right. It could be about anything, technology, life, just some random stories we find. We get to talk about on air a lot, but we want to go through them in detail with you guys and give a little bit more insight on what's actually going on.
Yeah, there's not enough time to explain the full story.
Yep, and we definitely needed the full story on these three. I mean, 14,000 feet for an iPhone, perfect condition. Then we had an Amazon driver who just used the restroom on people's property. Oh, poor thing, poor thing. And then we're talking about the Video Game Hall of Fames. It's kind of cool to look in the past items you had growing up as a kid.
Yeah, it makes me feel a little old for the fact that I knew what all of those were.
Yeah, a little bit old. What are you talking about? You're still the youngest one here. Speaking of which, I already talked about how as a millennial, where are you at?
For what?
Are you Gen Z?
I am.
Ooh, there you have it, guys. First episode of H&D Talks. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time.
We hope this has helped you detox your brain with H&D Talks under the Bravo Mike Communications family of radio stations.